Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Excitech BIM 360 surgery. This morning, it is number 44, believe it or not. And today, I'm going to take a look at checklists that are part of project management and how we could potentially use these for return to work protocols and some COVID related protocols around being on site, being back in the office, and how this can hopefully help you to get back to work and make it easier for some tracking and tracing and for some basic site tracking and implementations when people come back onto site to ensure they're adhering to the rules. So I'm going to jump straight into the module selector, straight into project management. So this is where we should really jump into field management rather than project management. So this is where we can utilize the checklist feature. So you can see I'm in my typical BIM 360 surgery project. I've got no checklist because I've wiped them out completely. So checklists work like this. You can have a checklist and then you can have a template. So the template must be defined first and you create a checklist based upon your template. So if we click into templates, you will see I have none. Now I can create a new one, and I've done this on a previous surgery where I've went through creating it from scratch and then importing. But I'm going to jump straight into the import because I've done a bit of work in the background and I've created some templates. So I'm going to import a template, click next, and you can download a sample file from Autodesk BIM 360, but I'm just going to browse to a particular file. So if I jump into BIM 360 surgery, so I've created a few checklists. I will share these with people. I'm going to create a blog and then it'll be posted on the Excitech website where you can get access and download these if you think they're good. So I'm going to start with, I've sort of created a safety checklist. There's a screening checklist, but I want to start with sort of, this is a sort of a protocol. So we're back on site. And it's sort of a weekly site operations procedures to make sure that everything's safe and we're following guidelines. So if I click open, so there's my file, I click import, and it will take a little bit of time depending on the amount of items. Now in this checklist, there are 50 items. So I'm going to close that. While that's happening, I'm also going to import I have a return to work. So I've sort of based this very loosely on if we were returning and when we return back to our head office in Enfield, sort of what type of checks would we need to ensure that people are doing. So I'm also going to import that, click close, and we're now going to rely on the wonders of the internet and speed for how this will work. It's pretty good. So it's already imported them. You can see that I've got my weekly site procedures and my return to work. So once you've got your templates, you can go in and edit each template so you can make further changes. So just to show you, I've sort of said, look, there's an Enfield office, and then I've just put in some standard things, and I've sort of went true or false. We could change it to check boxes like that one. But I'm just going to go with a true and false, so people will just go yes, no. So we could go yes and no. So I understand that I'm not to attend the office if I've got any symptoms and I must self-isolate. I understand that I must report to a director or your line manager. And again, I'll go through this. So it's just a pretty simple checklist. I can hit save. And what we can do with the checklist is we can create that. So that will actually create a version of the checklist. So this is a return to work, Enfield office, and I can just create that for myself. So you can see here that this is my checklist. So it's going to go to not started. If we go to the template for the site operations, I'm also going to create that checklist, and I'm just going to give it today's date if I remember what that is. So it's the 16th. And I'm going to create that. This is the weekly site operations checklist, and we go back, and you can see that both checklists appear, but they are not started. So let's say, for instance, I need to return back to our Enfield office. We can create this checklist that can then be started here. So this is for me. So I come in and I have, okay, I understand that I'm not to attend the office. Okay, so I'm not self-isolating, I have no symptoms. So I understand that's fine. I understand that I am report to a director. That's fine. I'm not vulnerable. And then I've just sort of put in sort of some specific ones for our office. So I must use my swipe card to access and exit the office and then report into reception. Yep. I understand that I can only use the main door to access, and then I'm only to use the rear door to exit the building. I'm only allowed to use the ground floor toilet facilities. And then for ours, we've lots of kitchens and different cores. So in this instance, I've said I'm only allowed to use the first floor core 1 kitchen. I understand that which workstation I'm allowed to work at. We have a clear desk policy, so I need to clean it or else it will be cleared away. And then, so I understand the use of sanitizers, soaps, the wipes. And then, movement is restricted to essential use. And then, the doors, exits. I understand the meeting room policy. And then I understand the cleanliness and welfare. So I can click done and then sign it off, checklist complete. So that's a pretty simple one to get our templates in to create a checklist. What we could have done in that return to work is we could have edited it. We can add in under the details section, we could go, okay, I want to require a signature. We could add in any descriptions. And what we could also do that, let's say something becomes non-compliant, so where I don't understand something, what we could do is that we could go, well, when it's non-compliant, we can automatically get it to create a safety. We can then assign that to the line manager. So we could say that I'm going to assign that to myself, and then the owner will be me. And then you can get this, you can get it to auto conform and click save. So then when we save that and we create a new checklist from that one, and we could say this is Jonathan 2, and we save it. So now that we've set it up that we require a signature, and then we also have an auto conforming issue creation. So I can go through again, and for, let's say I'm only allowed to use the ground floor toilets, I can click false. You can see that that is automatically now creating an issue. So you can say, I understand. So there's an issue there. I'm going to say in this instance that that is we can just say the toilets are locked. So we have a lot of power in these checklists to create, and then I can say true for the rest. And everything's easy peasy. And you can see here, because the new signature is now required, I can select this option, and then we can add that all in. Go back to here, and you can see you can do it that way, and I've missed one. So I finished the checklist, required signatures, and then you can see I can click done. So I think it's a nice little way to have them return to office protocols existing. If we look at the site inspection one, so you can see I've got a weekly site inspection. Again, so this is sort of when people are coming onto site. So are you regularly briefed on the decision to come into work or not? Yes. Are you keeping up-to-date records? Yes. Then we go to travel to work. So are you being informed of the recommended ways of traveling to and from? Have we additional arrangements? And again, so are all non-essentials, staggered start and finish, site access, one-way systems. So again, you get the idea of what this can do. So have we restricted numbers now on site? Yes. And again, you get the principle. Are we been briefed on site-specific social distancing measures? And, you know, we can go to no in certain instances. No, I don't have the auto creation of the issues. So are we getting additional breaks to wash hands? Are the facilities being checked? We could say no in this instance. And again, you know, I've done it in such a way that it covers each of the aspects on site. So I just think it might be a nice way to start utilizing this tool within BIM 360 to control. Because once we get it in here, we can then monitor, control, and report upon all of these checklists. So you can see there, pretty much done. And then you can go done, and that will update our checklist. And then if we go back to our project home, onto the field management page, we will then have our area which shows our checklist. You can see here, there's the checklists. You can go to my checklists, project checklists, and then you can click in and see everything that is done. So as I said, I will supply these as templates if you want to get them. I will do a blog, so it'll be posted in the next day or two on our site. If not, just reach out to me either at Excitech or Twitter or LinkedIn or however you want to get to me. Hopefully you find it useful. So thank you very much for joining me. Join me again next week for another surgery, and stay safe out there.